Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. OVS, Old Virginia smoke. Old Virginia.
My name is Luke Darnell, pitmaster of Old Virginia Smoke Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about my new online class available at barbecuechamps.com. This is a 100% tell-all competition barbecue class from yours truly, available online. It is a masterclass with 34 high-definition tell-all online competition barbecue videos that can be watched anytime, and they do not expire. They are packed full of pro tips, techniques, and recipes that will show you how to take your barbecue to the next level. These 34 barbecue cooking videos total 7 hours and will show you everything that you need to take your competition cooking to a level that you never thought was possible. We've already heard from several teams that have bought our classes and have already seen success and gotten their first calls. So this is something that brings me a lot of joy in sharing my knowledge and seeing people be successful with it. So are you ready to take your competition and backyard cooking to the next level? What are you waiting for? Just go ahead and go to barbecuechamps.com and find Luke Darnell, Old Virginia Smoke. We hope you learn a lot and enjoy these videos and have as much fun cooking these recipes as we had making them. Welcome to another edition of Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. My name is Luke Darnell, your host for this episode, and we are here with one of the, I guess you'd put him on the Mount Rushmore of East Coast barbecue for sure, but definitely the first East Coast team to make their presence known in the KCBS Team of the Year and won it in 2012, if I'm correct.
You are correct.
That's right. We got Dan Hixon with 3 Eyes. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Good, good. How's the off season treating you?
Good, nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
You had me on the Mount Rushmore until you relegated it to the East Coast, and I was disappointed.
Well, I mean, you're definitely up there in terms of, you know, the thing that I think about, especially in 2012, which was pretty much the year before we started cooking, was the schedule that you guys maintained that year in terms of cooking every weekend. That was, I think that was one of the first times that anybody really approached it that way. Is that accurate?
I don't know. It was purely accidental. That's not what we set out to do that year. It was absolutely grueling, though, I will tell you that. It's where some of these gray hairs came from, I'm sure.
Cooking that many weeks is, I tell people that are new to this and they're like, I'm going to cook 35 times this year. I'm like, make sure you build in some time off on that.
It's true. It's true. Absolutely brutal. I mean, if it was all clustered within, an hour of each other, it'd be easier. But when you throw in the travel, it's a lot.
Absolutely. And travel, time off and all of that. One of my favorite questions is, how your career and life experiences outside of barbecue has prepared you to be a pitmaster. How have yours?
Yeah, it's a good question. Over 20 years, I was an environmental consultant. And I looked for mistakes and errors in people's work and very detail oriented. And I think that carried over into what I do, in barbecue. I think it's important to be detail oriented and organized. If you're not, you can still win, but I don't think you're going to win consistently. So I think that's an important part.
Right. Probably that, but also probably a lot with the problem solving as well. I would imagine that had a big part to do with it too.
Yeah. So it's making mistakes. I think, I've taught lots of students and people have always said, how do you know that? How do you know how to deal with all this? And frankly, it's because I made those mistakes before and I learned from them and I remembered. So, that's a lot of the problem solving is learning from your mistakes.
Do you have a favorite mistake that set you up for success later? A favorite competition mistake?
Oh, I don't know. The word favorite comes to mind, but, when you have a fleck of foil in your box and you lose a grand championship because of it and you got DQ'd, it definitely sticks with you. Because of that, I'm making sure that there's no foil on any sauce lids, double checking if I'm piercing foil, I'm absolutely paranoid about foil still to this day, just from that. So that's definitely a mistake though.
You would have thought a lot of us would have learned from that too and not pierced the foil, and I still do it every contest.
I still do it as well. I mean, come on. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere. I mean,
Right. I'm not
that was the
opening that.
smallest frickin' piece of foil I've ever seen in my life, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Where was that? Was that
That was Beltway.
Beltway? That's right.
Yeah. John Bush, hands shaking, coming up to me. I put my arm around him and I said, John, it's okay. Tell me what's wrong. My team
John.
didn't even want to get me. I mean, they're like, Dan, the rep's here.
That's funny. And I remember that. I remember John. I remember watching John walk over and visibly like upset. And yeah, that's one rule that I just, that's something that I've often asked other judges too that have cooked with us. Like, if you see that, would you take it out or would you?
That's the worst. Like, there were some master judges that I knew and completely unsolicited came up to me and said, Dan, if that was in front of me, I would have just flicked it off and kept going. I'm like, does that make you feel better? I mean, I didn't make
Right.
me feel better.
No. You've had a lot of success in barbecue and you've created a great rub company and a great rub. What's the most surprising thing to come out of competition barbecue for you?
Friends?
Yeah.
I mean, I went into barbecue because I like to cook and I'm competitive. But I didn't really think that I was going to make such lasting friends. And some of the people that I've met, are incredible people and I keep in touch with them outside of barbecue. So that's been a big surprise and, definitely a big part of my life.
Yeah, and I often tell Kim all the time, the only reason we still do this is because of the people. So
You don't like doing this anymore, Luke?
I like doing it, but I like doing it as often as I'm doing it now. 12 to 15 times a year is plenty of time, plenty of cooks.
I'm kind of in the same boat. And I think my days of sleeping on the floor of the trailer are over too, as I've gotten older. There's little things that just don't make sense anymore.
Exactly. Those things hurt more.
Yeah. When you start waking up and go, why the fuck am I doing this? Yeah. Or the creaking and the breaking of bones as you get up. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's talk about gear a little bit. What's one of the best investments that you've ever made in competition barbecue?
One of the best investments in gear, porch trailer. I mean, I think I was one of the first to have one. And it's because backwood smokers, I mean, competitors weigh 400 plus pounds. And any wheeled form that's on 400 pounds is going to bust and break and bend. So, we were hurting ourselves getting those smokers in and out of a trailer all the time. And then you had to level them on wet ground and uneven ground and stuff like that. So a porch trailer made all the difference in the world because we can level the trailer and then we can cook on something, a platform. So that changed the game. And I think people saw that it changed the game and a lot of people bought them after that.
Absolutely. And you had one of the extreme trailers first off. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they make those anymore. I think he's went out of business.
Yeah.
But, it was a good trailer. It's everything we needed. And I still have one. I mean, not an extreme one, but I have one still today.
I can't imagine. I do probably 2 or 3 a year without a trailer. And I always go, why didn't I bring the trailer?
Oh yeah. Like I remember, King of the Smokers one year, there's no trailers there and we were cooking on cobblestones. And, if you've ever spent 3 days on cobblestones, man, did that wreck my knees and ankles and everything else.
Absolutely. All that stuff is great. It's expensive though. Do you have any tools or things that you've used that are $100 or less that have really helped you out? This is my favorite question, by the way. I love the answers to this question.
Easy, man. Thermapen. I mean, without a Thermapen, I still use one at home. I mean, cooking chicken, pork. I draw the line with steak. I cook steak better without it. That hands down, that's the best investment, I think, for under $100.
Absolutely.
That's not a fun answer, but it's a functional answer.
It actually says in parentheses here is that you can't say Thermapen.
Really?
That's what I usually tell people that, but it's funny because I recently got to cook with some people down in North Carolina, and I'm like, "Do you have one of these?" And the guy said, "I've never even seen one," and I gave it to him. He's a very sentimental person, and he was like, "Man, I can't believe you gave me your Thermapen." And I was like, "I have like 9, dude."
Exactly.
But it's so important to people, especially I think when they're starting out, so that not only to see the number, but also to feel the tenderness. I think it's more important that way than any number ever could be.
Absolutely. No, I agree. The thing to watch out for is, if you're using Guru probes and Thermapen probes and everything else, though, something the creator of Barbecue Guru said to me once, which is the man with too many watches never knows what time it is. So you can have too many different readings, but I always default to the Thermapen reading.
That's good to know, because my next question is about technology, and you still use the Gurus.
I'm a stubborn bastard, dude. Like, I stick with what works. I let trends go their own way, and I stick with what I know and what works. I am still using the Barbecue Guru. Um, I am open to other technologies. It's just a very slow thing for me. I got to play around with it in the background, make sure everything works. I know the intricacies of those inside and out, so it's kind of comforting.
Speaking of which, I still have that. I have a care package for you of a bunch of that stuff that I have.
Oh, I remember you said that, and you never gave me anything.
I haven't seen you since then.
You're just mad that we won at that contest.
No, I was not. If you recall, I was one of the ones celebrating that. It was,
No, I know.
It was a fun weekend. That smoke on the rails.
He does a good job, man. He's one of the best organizers, I think.
Especially out this way, he does a great job, and I emailed him already just to make sure those dates were on the calendar, just because they're pretty turnkey. Let's switch to people a little bit. Who's impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
That's an easy one. I mean, Tuffy Stone. He might not even know it. I mean, no, that's who I helped the first time, and I put in quotes help, because I really just got in his way. And when I was first getting started in barbecue, I tell anybody that he set me ahead. Just watching him set me ahead a good 3 years in competition barbecue, I think. Just his attention to detail, what he was doing, how he was cooking. That was the best brisket I ever tasted to date. When I tasted what his competition brisket was. So, I mean, that was before Tuffy was Tuffy, if you will. No one really knew him. He hadn't had accolades. Hell, at that competition, it was New Holland, Pennsylvania. A lesson I learned was he cooked the best barbecue I've ever tasted and never got out of his chair at awards.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it was humbling to see that. It's a good lesson to learn early on, too. You can cook good stuff and still not walk.
Exactly. We've all been there before. That's for sure.
Unfortunately.
So when you have a problem in barbecue, who do you call if you're having a problem with the meat?
Anybody who will listen. Yeah, I can get kind of vocal when I'm having, and I'm not kidding. I mean, sometimes just talking to somebody, anybody, just hearing yourself talk through what you're feeling and what you're thinking, you can learn a lot from just yourself. And then no matter who it is, can give you a little nugget here or there that is just a different perspective that you're not looking at. A lot of times it's just something stupid, something that you just didn't realize you changed. A rub that's heavier or lighter than you used before, or, a brand that you didn't even remember switching to. It doesn't have to be, that's the thing with competition barbecue. It doesn't have to be something grand and extreme. A lot of people go towards that, gravitate towards that. But sometimes it's the smallest things possible that make a big difference. So
yeah,
I just like to get a lot of different takes on things and then kind of triangulate the common ground.
And I think a lot of that, especially when you're talking about younger people and newer people in the hobby, it's really just shutting up and listening and paying attention. I think that's the number one thing that people can learn. If you sit around and you're nice and you just listen, you can pick up so many little tips.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a huge tip, Luke. I think hope everyone's listening to that.
It's a good one. So these are my favorite questions too. Habits, rituals, and routines. Are you a superstitious fella?
Yes. I mean, isn't everybody to some degree? I mean, there's really too many to list. I kind of covered up with it's not really all superstition, is that you have to be consistent. That's what I say, at least, So it's under a veil of being consistent, do a lot of those things come up. Like, I mean, I buy my chicken the exact same day every day from the exact same place. When it's competition week, I inject the exact same time. But then it gets beyond that. I pack the same clothes, I pack the same socks. Unlike someone in football, I actually do wash my underwear. But but yeah, like I want to make sure it's the same socks, the same pants. I mean, I have a pair of shorts that have been sewn so many times that it's ridiculous. It really becomes prominent when I GC. When I GC, I kind of lock in everything. The cooking methods, what I was wearing, what my mindset was, everything. And then, when you lose again, it's not like it's all by the wayside, but it loosens up a little bit.
Right. The camouflage shorts, they're a trademark.
Yeah, it's kind of like a uniform now, though. So, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I need to change into something else these days.
And music. I know music's a part of the cook.
Music is definitely a part of the cook. Octane all the way, whatever they're playing, Sirius Radio. Always a favorite. And then, whenever I was competing with Tex, he'd throw me for a loop, and the frickin' Grinch would be playing in like July. And that threw my whole game off. I mean,
you can't have that.
No, it screws up everything. I mean, people don't realize it.
Yeah, we have a list of 100 songs, and any of those 100 songs can come on and everything's fine. The minute somebody else is like, "Oh, let me play something," no, like that doesn't work, Rick Hamilton. We can't play that song.
Right. Yeah, it upsets the balance, right?
It does, much like him buying burn ends from Costco. Like
that was disturbing. I mean, I actually lost sleep over that one. I was like, I don't know how many times I've seen stuff like that, but I didn't think anybody I know would actually buy it. I mean, let alone taste it and consume it. I mean, come on.
He bought it for the family dinner that night. That's what he bought.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, and then I saw your comment on there and I was like, thank you. Finally, somebody else that can feel my pain on this guy.
I mean, it's just, let's be honest. There's no way that's good.
No.
It's just not. Yeah.
Can't be. It's probably steak. It's probably not even brisket.
At least he owned up to it, though.
He did. He never has that problem. Where was that question? So you mentioned that you buy your chicken the same day, same place. Is your competition week the same every time you have a competition?
Yeah, unless I make a change. But I mean, and changes for me are very small. But yeah, I try and keep the same routine. The competition is really a whole weekly thing. I mean, whether I'm doing a lot back to back or whether I'm just doing one, it really is a full week. I try and spread out the load over your body, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot, so if I can buy, some stuff on Monday and then trim some stuff on Tuesday, trim more on Wednesday, make injections on Wednesday, my Thursday afternoon and evening, I really don't want to be doing anything. I just want to be sitting on the couch watching TV, getting my head in the game and resting.
Right.
I'm not the type of guy. If I'm scrambling around on Thursday night, the weekend isn't going to go well. It's just how I am. I want to front load everything and make it easier for myself at the competition.
Right, and you said a key word in there: rest.
Yeah. No, I think this isn't arrogance. It's just if you plan ahead and prepare, I think the actual cooking the competition is the easiest part of the whole process. I mean, that's the fun. That's the easy part. It's everything on the front end that's hard for me.
Yeah. And I've learned that rest is the barbecue superpower, and being, I love to have fun at the contest just like everybody else, but 9 o'clock comes, I'm in the rack. I don't have to go to bed, but I can't be out doing things that I normally do. So
Yeah. 10 o'clock's my bewitching hour now. But, and that's forced because I want to stay up longer. I really do. I want to have conversations with people. I want to talk. My team laughs at me because I could be mid conversation. It'll turn 10 o'clock and be like, okay, good night. Just shut it right out. I think you even saw it at that competition.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, all right, I'm out, guys. See you.
I think it was even after a significant amount of tequila that happened too.
Yeah. No, I've learned to listen to me, barbecue or not barbecue. When the little voice in my head says, you might as well just stay up all night. You're feeling great. That's when I go to bed. Always. I've learned.
This podcast is brought to you by BarbecueData.com. BarbecueData.com is your one-stop shop for all of your barbecue competition data. Historical data, calls, wins, placements, everything under one roof. It's a great way not only to track yourself in the standings, but also to track how you improve your scores from year to year. Listeners of this podcast can receive 20% off of a new subscription to BarbecueData.com with the code PITPOD. That's one word, all capital letters, PITPOD, PITPOD. So check your team scores, check on others, and do it all on BarbecueData.com. How do you relate to when you're cooking and I know you're very regimented and you have your systems and your processes, but when you get that gut feeling about something, how do you relate to that during a competition cook?
You're talking like intuition, right?
Yeah.
Intuition's huge. As I've gotten older, I've realized to learn to listen to intuition more. When I was younger, I tend to ignore it and focus more on what I'm seeing in the moment. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that intuition really is accurate. And it oftentimes doesn't make sense. So it's sometimes a leap of faith to go towards your intuition. But I've really had, I can't even think of a scenario where it steered me wrong, to be honest with you. Like if a brisket is a good thing for that. I've stared at temperature readings. I know it's rendering, and something, a little voice in your head again says, it's done, and you pull it and your team looks at like you're an idiot. But it worked, and you
Right.
can't really explain why. It wasn't maybe your target temperature or, things were different, but if you listen to it, you're fine. If you don't and you ignore it, I've ended up with a lot of brisket that falls apart after that. Like, should have pulled it earlier.
The little voice knows whether it's a bad influence or a good influence.
True. No, I think that's an age thing, or at least for me, it's been an age thing, just to learn to listen to that voice.
Right. And my next question is kind of an age thing too. What do you think are the biggest changes, good or bad, from cooking back in the day, 2012, 2013, 2014 to what we do now? There's a lot of differences.
Yeah, you sound like the old guy when we start talking like this, but
God,
we
I know.
are the old guys.
Right.
Man, it was more fun back then. I'll just say it. I mean, it was harder. It was more fun. There was more camaraderie. It was the damn trailers. I mean, I loved the trailer. I wouldn't give up my trailer. Actually, I did give up my trailer, and then I bought another trailer. But without those, and the competition looks like a refugee camp with all the jammed in, easy ups. You're going through what everybody else is going through. A thunderstorm comes through and you're getting wet, your neighbor's getting wet. If the field floods, you're flooding, your other guys, your competitors are flooding. It creates a bond there that you just don't have these days.
Yeah.
People staying up later, people sharing bottles, passing it back and forth. I mean, we have some of that, but it's kind of like forced. It's like created, let's meet up at this hour at this place. It's not the same.
Yeah. It's definitely morphed into more of I call it a tournament atmosphere more than a competitive yet jovial atmosphere as the way.
Yeah. I mean, So some of, my favorite stories and stuff are from back in the day when I started. Um, you can't make up stuff like someone taking shovels at 2 a.m. and trying to build a drainage ditch through their site to drain off the water because a thunderstorm came through. I mean, like that's just hilarious,
Yeah, but then I think about those people when I'm sleeping in my trailer, and
I know, but you asked. I mean,
I but I miss it too. I know that I'm part of the problem, and
I didn't say it was easier. I said it was more fun. And that was like King of the Smokers, though. I mean, that was the thought behind that, was to
yeah,
get back to that and just have canopies and not have trailers and have everybody together. And it was good.
yeah, absolutely. What do you think? I mean, and I'm going back because of your experience. What do you think separates a good pitmaster from a great pitmaster?
You can't, no, stuttering because you can't put your finger on it. I've taught a lot of people, and I can teach anybody to cook. I can teach anybody to make decent barbecue. Some people, and this isn't a barbecue specific thing, by the way, we're just talking about barbecue. Some people have it. Some people have an innate ability to cook. Some people have an innate ability to cook better barbecue than another person. My wife has that in real estate. I'm in real estate now. She's taught me real estate. I can do real estate. I'm good at real estate, but I'm not as good as her at real estate. And it's the same thing in barbecue. You'll run into people that are better than others, and you can't really figure out why. So I think in life, everybody's just got to find the thing that they're better at than everybody else, because I think everybody has an it. They just don't always know what it is.
Huh,
Some
that's a
deep
great
shit,
answer.
isn't it?
That's pretty deep, man. I always start class with 50% of you are never going to be able to do this. And that's just the math on it. And they all look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, some of you just aren't going to get it. And that's fine. Don't get upset about it, but just know that that's possible. And
you mean by like 50% of people aren't going to GC or walk, or what do you think?
They're just never going to get really good at it. It's that ability isn't there, or the ability to parse information, or, and I think that right now, back when I started, there wasn't the glut of information that there is now. And I think that a lot of people get overloaded now with different things and different techniques and different cookers and different ingredients and all this stuff, that it really becomes really hard for decision making to take place. I just think it's like anything, we're on information overload. And I think that plays a big part in today's competition barbecue world.
100%. Everybody's looking for the magic bullet, and people that take like 5 classes in a year, you've just confused yourself. Congratulations.
Right.
That's how that works. I'm not doing as many contests as I was before. I'm not winning as many contests, not competing as, there's not as many reps there, whatever, but, I'm still doing well. And, this might be a sales pitch, but it's not meant to be. It's truth. I still use 3 Eyes barbecue rub on everything. I'm using more of my beef rub, actually, if there's any kind of change. But, those are the 2 main rubs that I use. And by main, I mean like 90% of my shit has 3 Eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Since I started to today. There's a gazillion rubs out there, but everything revolves around that. You don't need to be reaching for all kinds of crazy stuff. If you're not winning, it's not you need a new rub or you need a new sauce or whatever. It's stick with what you're doing and refine it. Make it yours. I approach classes that way. I will be taking a class next year as well. I take class pretty much once a year, and I don't incorporate everything. A lot of that goes in my back pocket for when something goes wrong, or, I don't know what my next move is. Then I reach into that back pocket and pull something out. But 100%. The amount of information out there is too much. And I think people have got away from experimenting and doing their own thing. They just want to regurgitate somebody else's.
Yeah, you said it earlier, they want the magic bullet.
Yes, and it doesn't exist.
It does not. Oh man, please tell me, that you got to the rapid fire questions.
I did. You're giving away the secret that I've actually seen the questions before.
No, it's not. I ask everybody if they want to see them or not.
But just so everybody knows, there's a shit ton of questions there. Are you making me look back at them?
No. Are you ready to go? Rapid fire? All right. What do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
Nothing.
Meaning?
No, I don't get upset about barbecue and social media. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. People are firing away on stuff, but it really doesn't bother me.
That's a great answer. What is one of your favorite pre, during, or post-competition meals?
Pizza and Chinese food. I crave those every time post cooking. Pre, I tend to stay with safe foods. By safe, I mean big guy with sensitive stomach, so I don't go for crazy stuff. I'm not eating kimchi the day before a competition. You know, I'm not loading up on Chinese before I go to a competition. You know, a chicken sandwich, good, fine. Good
to go. What is your favorite brand of tequila?
That wasn't on there. So historically, it's been Patron, and specifically Patron Silver. But Milagro Silver is $20 a bottle cheaper, and I can't tell the difference. So I'm gonna give the nod to Milagro Silver.
Okay. Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
Favorite present? I mean, leftover barbecue. Everybody loves leftover barbecue. But my ultimate favorite present is a bottle of my rub. Everybody loves the rub.
That's a great rub.
But in my opinion, everybody loves the
rub. All right, man. Last question. If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions of people, what would it say and why?
It's not barbecue related, but if you're looking to buy or sell a home, contact Dan Hixon.
Oh, that's great. I was not expecting that. I was expecting buy more Three Eyes Rub, but I love I'm picturing you like with that Paul Rudd movie where he was a real estate agent and he had all those like dressed up like a Mexican or in a thong.
It's gold, man. It's a gift I give all my clients, and we've changed the label to where it's like half barbecue and half real estate. It works like a charm, man. Everybody loves it. And when they grab that bottle of rub, they're thinking of me for buying and selling a home too. So
that's fantastic. Well, where can people find you online? Where can they find the rub?
Most online retailers have it. Barbecue superstores, Big Papa Smokers, and Amazon. Just a couple off top, but look for it. And if you don't see it somewhere, your hometown shop or anything, just Dan at 3eyesbarbecue.com. Let me know. Happy to get it in that store.
Great. Thanks a lot for being on, man. I really appreciate it.
Had fun.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and to share it out with your friends. Also be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke TikTok as well. Old Virginia Smoke, one word. That's all you have to search for. It's hilarious. Tune in next week for another great episode of Pitmaster. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedanka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC.
Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia, Old Virginia Smoke. Oh, yes. Old Virginia, Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia, Old Virginia Smoke.